Hello. Welcome to a live stream. This is a live stream for my Applied Digital Studies class, specifically Section 1. I'm keeping the headphone in because I'm going to be doing some stuff with video games today and I want to be able to hear it. So, hello. If I do have some people that are following me that I don't know, but if you are watching, anyone's welcome to watch me, of course, but this is a class, and this is a stream mainly intended for my class, I guess, but I am going to be actually talking about video games today and playing video games, which is sort of what I think people mostly do with Twitch at this point. So, at least that's the intention for Twitch, right? It seems like I go in on the homepage of Twitch and see all kinds of nonsense now. I don't know what's going on in Twitch, but it seems like a lot of people in bathtubs, which I don't approve of. I'm not getting a bathtub. So anyway, today, so for my class, this is I've been streaming on Mondays, except for the past couple Mondays, or several Mondays, actually about a month of Mondays, because my class has been working on individual progress reports and things, and it's been better to have like just a conversation in Discord for those. But I thought, I had sort of an extra day in the schedule, and I thought it would be fun to do some a different kind of topic. And so today my intention is to talk about some video games. That was the topic that was requested. I have lots of games I can talk about, but particularly I'm interested in finding and talking about some games that are kind of unusual and that you might not have heard of, or that maybe you have, but that I think help illustrate some of what's important or unique about video games as an art form, which is ultimately why they fit into this class, digital studies class at UMW, and also it also informs the approach that I take to study, or this will give you a sense of what I talk about in my class, Video Games and Culture, which is a class at UMW that I'll be teaching again this fall. A couple of you I know took it over this past winter, actually. So, good afternoon. It's good to see you all online and saying hello in Twitch and on Discord. So, I guess if you haven't done that yet, then please do. It's always nice to know who specifically is out there. The numbers on YouTube on Twitch give me a sense of who's watching there, so that's good to see those numbers. But also, I am simultaneously streaming this to YouTube, so I guess you might be watching me there. If you are watching me there, it is 15 seconds delayed, I think, something like that from Twitch. So that's one thing you should know if you are in my class and chatting on Discord. The other thing, I guess, I got a bunch of new subscribers over the last couple weeks, mostly because of a video that I created that seems to be getting a lot of views. And I guess if you are one of those people who followed me because you saw that video and found it amusing, I'm glad you enjoyed it. But that's not the content I usually create. It's just something that I did once that I thought was funny. I've done several videos like that, but it's not what I do most of the time. So check that out. It's crazy though. I haven't checked the views today, but it's like 120,000, it was like 110,000, I think, this morning, something like that, views on it, which is crazy. Like that's the most views I've had on anything by far. Unless you count, like some of my tweets have gotten pretty popular, but I don't think quite that popular. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Today I want to talk about video games. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, no way, this is not happening, Brandon. Let's see, what was I going to do? Oh yeah, so I'm going to share a slideshow, but it's really just a list of things that I want to talk about. So it's not hugely important. It's not something that I would need to share with you all, but let's see, why isn't it showing up? I'm kind of like out of practice with this stuff. What is that? Oh, okay. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, so this is my slideshow. Not a whole lot going on with this slideshow. Really just sort of going to remember some things. Yeah, it is not happening at Mars Girl, so we will never know what UMW would think of that. I would get in trouble, so what would happen? Okay, so this is just a few things. I want to talk about video games, and there's really two categories of video games that I wanted to talk about and demonstrate. And these are games that either try to make a point or games that try to make a point about video games, I guess. So games that make a point about the real world would be like political games, ideological games, and then video games that try to make a point about video games are things that you might consider art or experimental. And I have maybe 9 or 10 that I wanted to show you today. things that are, just were on my mind, or things that I like, or things also in some cases just things that I know will work. Some of the games I'm interested in are a little bit older and just won't work anymore, or that's impractically challenging to get it working on these on this computer. But I want to go through several examples of those two general categories. Again, sort of ideological and political kind of games versus artistic experimental kind of games. And what I'm offering you here is not a complete survey. It's not really even, I don't really have enough of a lecture really to explain the differences and kind of what's important about these. This is literally like a week each of my, for each of those, a week of my class in the fall. But just to very quickly cover a couple things, I think I can do that today, just mainly by demoing things. So I do have a content warning. So 2 content warnings, actually. Content warning number 1, I'll go ahead and just type it here. Content may be offensive. So I'm going to be showing you some games that are politically oriented, and so by being political, they do express a point of view. You may find that you disagree with the point of view. Also, you may find that the way that they express an idea about a point of view could be offensive or challenging or shocking. I don't know. I'm not sure what you're going to be offended by, but it may happen. So FYI, heads up. The other one is photosensitivity. Some of these games are going to be very visually challenging to look at. If that's an issue for you, feel free to not watch this stream. If you're, in my class, that's fine, but just I want you to be aware that there are some games that will be very, very visually challenging. Like even I was, just to get ready for today, I was running through some things and my eyes still kind of hurt from that experience. I will warn you before I play those games that are particularly challenging in terms of photosensitivity, but just be warned at this point. This is just a general warning that it is the case. All right. So the other thing, so I put this on a slide because I think it's a term worth kind of explaining a little bit before I get into some of these examples of games that have ideological content or ideological arguments built into them. And I use that word arguments deliberately because there is this term that is a term of art used in video game design and game studies, procedural rhetoric. This is a term coined by Ian Bogost, who's a game designer and writer. And basically this means that whenever we're talking about video games, making some kind of argument or having some kind of point to them, or in any way attempting to persuade, the thing that video games can do that's unique is process. They can use processes to convince us of things. Of course, video games can also be visual, they can be verbal, and we can look at different rhetorics associated with those. For example, at UMW we teach a class, I don't personally, but there is a class on visual rhetoric, and so many video games demonstrate that, or they could. But the thing that video games can do that no other form can is process. And you might say that video games always have a kind of procedural rhetoric, meaning we always learn from or take something from the processes that we see in the video games. And I think you'll see some examples of that in some of the early games I want to show you here, and that I've got kind of queued up here. But what we're talking about is the ways in which a process can help us understand something. And oftentimes it has to do with a system. Understanding how a system works by seeing what happens when different things enter into that system and come back out of the system differently. So let me show you some examples. Again, I'm not going to be able to do this in a very systematic way, but these are things that I think are worth sort of talking about and starting with. So these are games that deal with some ideological things. And several of these are what I think everything I have here is actually free or or pay what you want kind of thing. First of all, I wanted to show you some games. I'll put the link in a couple places here. Everydayarcade.com. Everyday Arcade. They used to be called the GOP Arcade, and this is I think they did anyway. This is a group that produces these games that have a very specific point of view, very specific and pointed critique of GOP positions, Republican Party. So some of these I think are more effective than others. Some of these I think are very effective. I believe I have talked about these sometimes in class just because they're so straight to the point and they get their point across quite well sometimes. Remember the content warning. Some of these things will be kind of offensive and shocking. This one actually, Thoughts and Prayers, is actually, I mean, there have been a lot of mass shootings recently, and that's what this is a game about. This game was made well before any of the recent mass shootings, obviously, but it is something that may remind you of those. And again, this is why I gave you a content warning. If you'd rather not sort of watch me play this, that's all right. But I will play it for a minute here. This is a game called Thoughts and Prayers, the game. I think there is a pretty clear critique here, but I'll just kind of let it, I'll explain it after I play it a bit, but I think you'll see it anyway. So it says, see if you can stop mass shootings with every politician's favorite tools, thoughts and prayers. Think and pray as fast as you can and see if you can end the bloodshed. So let's see if we can. I'm going to hit play. So there's sound. Maybe I should turn that down a little bit. And, whoa, it's really loud in my ear. America faces an epidemic of mass shootings. It's up to you to stop them with the power of your thoughts and prayers. Hold on. I have to actually... That's very loud in my ear, so I'm going to turn down my volume. Turn yours back up. It's actually pretty good music. Okay, so let's, as it says, let us pray. So I've got two buttons. I've got T and P. I can hit T to think. I can hit P to pray. So I have to go back and forth. It's more praying. Okay, so there's a button here, B, to push ban assault weapon sales. So let me push that. Let's think more. Oh, okay. Weak. Every time I hit B, it's popping up. You don't have the votes. Okay. All right, that didn't work. So as you see, I don't know if you can see, but every time I hit B, it would give me one of those different failure messages. 64 thoughts and prayers, 0 lives saved. Okay, let's play again. Think and pray. Pray for Cave-Ins' city. Pray for Burlington. Kansas City again. I'm getting the error message, that sound every time I try to hit the ban button. Yeah, basically nothing works. You do, and that last message said you depend on NRA donations, 0 lives saved. Okay, so I think the point of this is fairly clear, but let me explain it just in case it's not. I think sometimes explaining something can really make it lose its impact, so I worry about that a bit, but let me pause that so the sound cuts off. This is an example of the rhetoric of failure. So this is procedural rhetoric. In other words, it presents the possibility that a problem can be solved by completing a process correctly, by clicking the buttons and doing something like that. The fact that these things that I have control over, the T and the P, thinking and praying, in fact, do not solve the problem, is a critique of those solutions. So it's a critique of the idea that these are practical solutions. And the fact that the only option that might actually have an impact here, ban assault weapons, is denied. That's a cynical take on the political reality of gun control legislation. Also, it is kind of an argument that might work, but we don't know because in the context of the game, we don't even get a chance to try it. Just like in the real world, we don't know because we can't get that legislation passed, right? So it's a critique of the political reality here, and also a cynical criticism of that sort of empty rhetoric of, our thoughts and prayers are with the people of, fill in the blank, because it happens all the time. So it's fairly strong, I think, in its stridence in its critique. All right, so there's quite a few more. I think of these, Bomb the Right Place is also a really critical one, although I think the message of it is a little bit less, like it has to do with foreign policy, and so this one may be a little bit less salient in certain ways, but I still do like it a lot as a game. So yeah, so we have to bomb the right place. Actually, I forgot. I didn't catch what it said. Let me restart it to see if I can catch the message this time. So ordering missile strikes on foreign countries is hard, starting with figuring out where those darn countries are in the first place. In Bomb the Right Place, you play the role of Commander-in-Chief, just doing your best to show America's strength by heaving armaments at places you've never heard of. It's like a geography quiz, but with more collateral damage. Okay, so this is struggling to load now. Okay, let's try this again. Here we go. The world thinks America is weak. As Commander-in-Chief, it's up to you to prove them wrong. By bombing all of them. So I think this is a critique of, the global war on terror. Our sats have detected enemy ground movement just outside Kabul. Let's bomb them. Decide to bomb Kabul. So where is that? Now, this is easier. This is more fun. Oh wait, I didn't click anywhere. You made America look weak. We don't answer our enemies with force. They'll walk all over us. So you only have like 5 seconds to pick. Let me try again. Let's try to bomb Kabul. Actually, let's look at diplomatic options. Oops. Nope. That was failed. I failed as well. I made America look weak. Let's try again. Okay, let's try to bomb Kabul. Here? I don't think that's right. Well, no, I was close. But as I said, not really. As it always says close one. You're only 445 miles from Kabul. I think they still got the message. Tap to continue. So this is another rhetoric of failure. Like, unless you actually know exactly where certain places are, it can be really pretty challenging. Oh, Cairo. I should know that one. That one's yeah. That's pretty close, right? Only 100 miles from Cairo. I think they still got the message. Tap to continue. So this could also, you could say, is a critique of interventionist foreign policy. Maybe in a kind of, you might even say that it argues for, what did it say, Baghdad? It argues for isolationism, you could say, which is a different take on it. The thing with procedural rhetoric is it often is kind of ambiguous in that you could, it's kind of easy to get it wrong. Like, it's easy to create something that actually sends a different message than what you intend. Where's Kandahar? Man, so yeah. And of course I feel self-conscious like trying to play this on here and try to figure out where to go. Oh yeah, good point, Amara. Like Amara's girl, like that's without, I mean, depending on the colorblind, the type of colorblindness, this would be pretty challenging in terms of figuring out where these things are. I didn't even see where it told me to bomb. I was talking, so I didn't see where it said. Okay, well, I was pretty far off anyway. All right, so you get the idea, I hope. It's pretty strong in its critique in that it sort of critiques the lack of geographic knowledge that that Americans have or that America has. Yeah, so there's quite a few of these are also really. I think Angry Olds is also pretty good. Science Fighter is a little bit, I don't know, it's a little bit complicated, a little convoluted, I think, in its message. Voter Suppression Trail is a little bit kind of, a little bit too on the nose, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm gonna try another game. Actually, I don't know, because I haven't tested it on this computer, if this will work. I'm gonna try this out. This is called Hair Na, and it is hopefully going to work. Yeah, so it's a travel game about a black woman who is tired of people touching her hair. And so basically you play as that woman and you try to prevent people from touching your hair by smacking their hands away. But if you smack their hands away too fast, then you lose points. And if you don't smack them fast enough, you lose points. So you have to kind of get the timing right. Okay, so Ava loves to travel, but is hesitant because people often invade her personal space by touching her hair without permission. So help Ava catch her flight and protect her hair by stopping the reaching hands. So again, this is a game about a particular point of view and presenting a particular problem that I don't personally experience. Like, so this is something that makes a point about a different experience of reality, and one that through my privilege as a white person with short hair, I guess I've never experienced someone trying to touch my hair without my permission. So let's we can pick a skin tone and hairstyle, and let's go to Osaka. Sometimes this game doesn't work well in a web browser, and I wanted to test it. So if you miss a hand or swat too much, the meter will go down. All right. So I don't know. What are my keys?
So fluffy.
Oh, left arrow keys. Okay, good.
Can I touch it?
So you got to time it just right.
Nice.
You got to get that meter to go up. Oh, I made it. Okay. Because you might, yes, keep it up just because you're getting started. Yeah, it goes for a while. Oops, didn't mean to go down. So, because you might think, okay, well, I just can spam the slapping. I can just do like that, but you see my meter doesn't go up that way. It actually, there's a rhetoric to that too. Like, you're too aggressive. Like, if you're too really defensive, really. I mean, if you're overly defensive, that also causes you to lose points. This game is actually quite challenging. Like, I made it just then, but you have a limited amount of time in order to achieve that, to achieve the correct outcome here. Let's keep trying. I mean, it's not impossible, certainly.
Is it attached to your head?
All right. Yeah. I mean, I've played this game a bit, so I kind of have the strategy. You do have to wait, like basically, like if you start trying to get too fast, it's like you will fail. So you have to actually. What? Oh, it didn't. What's it? It's not working. Oh, there we go. Man.
Can I touch it?
I'm gonna have a hard time getting this one.
Is it attached to your head?
I made it. Okay, great. I win. I made it to Osaka. The game is over, but this experience isn't. This is an issue that Black women face daily. So, a note to those who do it: stop that shit. Hope my kids aren't around. So, there's a message to this game, right? I mean, there's a meaning to this. There's also a rhetoric of failure. Like if you fail because you overslap, then it's also a comment about Black women's authority over their own personal space and bodies in public. So, because if they're perceived as like overly aggressive, then that would also impact them negatively. Okay, great. So those are some examples of mostly web games. I actually don't know if these are going to work. I forgot to pull these up ahead of time, and I might have to download something to get them to work. This is a studio called Molly Industria, and Paolo Pedersini is the main designer behind these games. Many of these are pretty strong or strident in their arguments. Some of them are pretty, you might say, offensive. I want to see if I can get this one to work because I think it's pretty interesting, although it's quite violent. Let's see. I'm going to try to download it. I should have downloaded this ahead of time. So, let's see. This is a game that runs in Flash, so it won't work in the browser anymore, but there's a downloadable version that may work. Okay, cool, it's working. So let me switch over to this scene where I can hopefully show it to you. Oh, there it is. Okay, great. Sorry, trying to get the size right. Oh. Alright. So it's called The Best Amendment, and it is about the Second Amendment. Collect the required stars before time runs out. Okay. Collect the required stars. Okay, is that all I do? I'm trying to remember how to do this. Oh. So the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. Wayne LaPierre. Alright, so the complicated thing here is that the players in black robes are me from the past. So you have to kill them to get the star, to get their stars. But their movements, if you watch them closely, they do exactly what I just did in the last level. Like so, each time you play a level, it records your movements and all your shots, and then the next time you play, you're playing against that previous version of yourself. So, like a really interesting just game mechanic. I think the point of it is that well, there's several points possibly. I think the imagery, of course, is pretty suggestive. The idea that I'm, the hooded figure, the white hooded figure, obviously references KKK, but also just the idea that the idea that the Second Amendment is meant to protect good guys with guns, is a thing that we can critique because just got myself shot because. Like, who's to say what a good guy is or a bad guy is until after they've shot someone or not shot someone? And that's, I think, the critique to that point of view that you often do hear from NRA and Second Amendment defenders. But this is a game, right? And so it's a game that offers one argument using this particular mechanic. I had to go through that kind of quickly. It's kind of hard to explain it and play it at the same time. But the idea that you are playing against your past self, I think it's just a really interesting mechanic anyway. And it's used in this case to possibly make a point. Okay, so let me try. Actually, I'm going to skip the other one. Unmanned is also really good, but it takes a while to develop. Like, it takes a while to understand why it's significant. And I think also people, there's, that was the other one I was going to show you, but it's, where is it? Unmanned. Yeah, it takes a while to develop. And also I think people, there's actually 2 points to the game. And I think the deeper point is more interesting. It just takes you a while to really get it. It's much more abstract, I think, and ultimately pretty rewarding to play through. Sorry, I gotta go for a second. I smell something that might be cooking or could be burning, and I'm the only parent at home right now, so I need to go see what the smell is. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. They're fine. They just burned some popcorn. Okay, so these let me show you some other games. Let's see. I've got this built up here so I can show you some things. So I'm going to switch into more artistic kind of games. Some things that are a little bit unusual, and hopefully, thanks, Brandon. Things that are interesting. Oh man, my back's hurting. Let me get back to my web browser view here. I call these eyeball scrapers too, because these are interesting games that are interesting for their mechanics, but also I think really all 4 of these are interesting, I would say, for their visuals, but they are playable, so they are both visually interesting and procedurally interesting as well. So let's see so Catacombs of Solaris. So this is a game by this guy named Mclarty. I don't know much about Mclarty. I just sort of found him on itch.io, and I really like some of these games. This one is called The Catacombs of Solaris, and it's a free download if you want to try it out. And if you do, I do like it. You may like it as well, but watch me play it first, because you might find it sort of challenging too. So let me switch back to my gaming scene here, and then figure out where I installed this. I do have it somewhere on this computer, but it is sometimes hard for me to find things. Okay, let's do... Yeah, okay, cool. Here we are. Okay, so it's going to be a little tricky for me to get this game capture to grab the window, possibly. Let's see, is that... Okay, it's working now. All right, so Marsgo, you mentioned someone who might be colorblind. They may have an easier time with this game than I do, because I'm not colorblind, and I find this game extremely challenging to look at visually. I don't know if this is going to trigger anything photosensitivity-wise. It might. It's not very glitchy. It's just very kaleidoscopically challenging. Okay, so it's a first-person point of view, and you can kind of see that as I move my mouse around. I'm manipulating a first-person point of view, looking around what appear to be hallways, and I can move forward using the WASD characters. But space changes as you move through it. So the shape of the space that you move toward, it does not remain consistent. So I'm sort of in a hallway here. Kind of look to the right there, but the direction you move in doesn't seem to make sense. I'm actually kind of curious just to hear what your experience of this game is, because it's harder for me, I think, because I'm the one controlling it. You all might just see like a wash of color and like be struggling to figure out what that is. But in my case, like, I am disoriented because what appears to be a hallway will become a wall sometimes, and vice versa. And then sometimes you look around and everything just sort of meshes into this murky kind of stuff. But there's a corner here, looks like I can go around, and then I'm back here. Okay, cool. So there is a space to this, but the space kind of visually resets. Like, that was supposed to be a hall, but it turned into a corner. So you almost just sort of pick a random direction, start walking in it, and it becomes a hallway for a while. But okay, so you can kind of see here, hopefully, I don't know how often it resets, but it looks like I'm looking, my head's in the way, but it looks like I'm looking down a hallway, and I can go that direction. I just noticed that this isn't capturing the whole window. But if I walk toward it, I think it's probably going to stop being a hallway. Yeah, it did. So now it's at the side of a wall to my left, and now I can go this way. So pretty crazy. I'm gonna resize my thingy here. Let's see if I can get this to show up better in Twitch. All right, let's see if that's that's what I see. That's closer to what I see in terms of the ratios and stuff. So yeah, the Catacombs of Solaris by Ian Mclarty. You know, I'm not sure if there's a point to this other than it looks really neat and it's very confusing. So it's also very, kind of hurts my head after a while. But check it out. So Amara is not a fan. Neither is Isabel. Okay, well, fair enough. But I like it a lot. I do find actually that I like games like this. Not because they're like pleasant to play, if that makes sense, but there's something really. It forces me to notice and interact with it using parts of my physical body in ways that I don't always, and I know that that's not always a desirable thing, but something about it, like I use that term eyeball scraper. There's just something about it that feels like a kind of intensity that's sort of hard to capture in other media, and I really do enjoy that actually, even though I recognize not everyone will care for it. Let's try another one. This one's called Memory of a Broken Dimension by XRA is the name of the developer. I don't know his real name, but let's see if this works. We'll go with good graphics. Okay, so let's see. Let me grab the right. Gotta figure out how to capture the right window here. All right, cool. That'll work. Go a little bigger. Okay, so the way that this game starts off, it looks like a file system. It looks like you're interacting with this file system, and you can do certain things that are typical in a file system, like you can list the file contents, and you can try certain things that are listed here. And it basically just takes a fair amount of trial and error to figure out what things you can do. So it keeps kind of prompting up to try different things. So it's telling me I need to first run remote.exe. So this runs the remote, the satellite thing. Basically, you're connecting to different satellites. And I really like the glitchy text effect here. I think this is really cool. And so basically, I'm connecting to different satellite feeds, theoretically. And you can type things. I like this. If you hit the escape key, it says no escape, which I think is nice and ominous. All right, so I did the remote. I need to do a void scan, I think. Yeah. So I'm doing the void scan. I hope you can hear the audio. I really like the audio on this. It's like little. Okay, so, and then I think I'm ready to dive. Let's see. Looks like it. Looks like I'm diving. So this is a game that's actually described as a prototype or a beta. It's been in this form for like 7 or 8 years at this point, I think. It's a really disorienting, it's a really interesting game, but kind of challenging to look at. So again, I control a point of view. I can move around. I think that's the portal I just came from. I've never noticed that before actually, because I don't usually look up. So you can, it's a very difficult game to see. It's very dark visually, but every now and then something will sort of glitch into view. Like this there's sort of a ramp in front of me that you can just sort of barely see, but I can't walk up it yet. The target I'm trying to get to is that sort of blinky thing up on the wall there. And so to find, yeah, so this is hard to see with in the daylight here. There is a small, let me see, if I close that maybe I can see it better. There's a little kind of camera reticule sort of thing, and if you look through it, you have to position yourself just right, and then the part of the landscape will light up if you're looking at it just from the right angle, and if you click, it kind of locks that into existence. And now I can walk up this ramp, I can jump too, so it basically is a platformer, but not really, right? So now I can walk up this ramp and jump into this kind of staticky, glitchy thing, and now I'm in the next room. This one does have a photosensitivity, the flashing imagery kind of thing, I think. But it's very glitchy. It's very hard to see what to do, but it is definitely solvable. You're looking for these little rectangles with kind of a line coming through them, and if you look at them from the right angle, the thing that they're pointing at will light up. There it goes. And so you can click to kind of lock it into existence. And now I think I have to use that platform for the next room. You can walk through the walls too, which is sometimes helpful. Sometimes it loops you back to the same room, like in this case. Sometimes you have to look up to see it. Which way can I go? Can I go this way? No. Alright, well. I don't remember what to do here. Where is that? How am I supposed to get up there? Maybe I can go through the corner. Oh, here we go. Yeah, here's the next room. So, yeah, again, there's 3 of these things here, and they're on different levels. There's a little sound effect that plays when you get close to them, so that kind of helps you know that you're almost there. It's like a little hi-hat kind of sound. I'm not in the right place for it. This game is playable though. I mean, I'm not going to play all the way through here because I have other things I want to show you, but see, there you go. I got one from up on the next level. But you can play it all the way to the end. Well, the end of the demo. See, so that little, so you can kind of see a ledge up there. I just locked that one into existence. So this is Memory of a Broken Dimension, Brandon, and I will flip over here and type that. So that's so it's at xra.itch.io. So yeah, check that out. I'm eager for the full game to be released, although it's been in progress for a long time, so I don't know what the status is really. But I think this is a sort of side project for the developer. But the previews of the next sections look amazing, so I'm very interested in it. But that's all I can handle for now. I'm going to go ahead and get back out of here. So it just, when you hit escape, it takes you back here, and really I think the only way to end it is just to kill the process of the game. Okay, so I do want to show you at least one more. So I'm going to refrain from showing you all this one. This is Randy Balma, Municipal Abortionist. Despite the title, it does not seem to have anything to do with abortion. It's incredibly glitchy looking and hurts my eyes to play, but I like it. I have something else I'd rather show you, which is 99 Exercises. And this is a game that takes a bit of explanation, so let me start it up here and then explain it if I can. So this is, I have a hard time convincing OBS to find the right thing here. Hold on. Oh, Catacombs is still running. That's confusing it. And I wanted to find. It keeps trying to find the wrong one. Hang on. Okay. No, it has not captured the window correctly. Come on, OBS. Okay. If I do it windowed, maybe I can grab it this way. It's weird. So it's showing me that the window is here, but I can't seem to find it. Let me see if I can. Yeah, that was the Mario song. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how to show it to you. I can't get it to pop up on here. So this is a game called 99 Exercises in Play, and it's based on Super Mario Brothers. I just cannot see the window on OBS. It's not coming up on OBS, so that's why you can't see it on Twitch or anything else. Oh, there it is. That's weird. I don't know why it took so long. Okay, so there's a game called 99 Exercises in Play, and as you can see, it looks pretty familiar if you've played Mario Brothers, but it's not Mario Brothers. It is, but it isn't. The title 99 Exercises in Play is a reference to 99 Exercises in Style, which was a work created by the French writer Raymond Queneau, who was a founding member of the Oulipo, which is a organization that is based on algorithmic writing or procedural writing techniques. They came up with systems for creating literature. And so he, what Queneau did is he wrote a story, or was it Perec? I don't remember. I should look that reference up. But the idea was to tell the same story in 99 different ways, from different points of view and different styles of writing, using different constraints, different genres of writing. So this does the same thing, but with the first level of Super Mario Brothers, changing something about it every time. As you saw, the first one was straightforward. This one is level 2. This is 90 degrees rotation. And if you look closely, you might notice this is not exactly level 1. Like I can't go down any of the pipes. It's a little bit shorter, but it works. It's recognizable as level 1 of Super Mario Brothers. This is a game produced by Patrick Lemieux and Stephanie Bollock, and it's something that they call a metagame, or it's an example of metagaming. It's something that they produced a book called Metagaming, in which they talked about things like this, and in the course of that book, in order to illustrate different points, they created specific metagames to illustrate different takes on metagaming. And this is one of them. And this one it's called 99 Exercises in Play. There's actually only 30 levels, but you'll see they get pretty intense. The first like 5 or 6 are pretty easy. It's just sort of changing the point of view. Right, so this one, upside down. I think it's cool too, like you can see the trace, like your like the record of your previous attempts all show up. Like you leave dots behind you as you run through it, but those dots persist, right? Which actually comes in handy on a couple of these levels later on, as you'll see. So you'd think it's easy because it's just the same thing, just upside down, but it's harder than it looks. So this game is not on their itch.io page for some reason, but it is available through the website for their book, and I can share that for you all later if you'd like to. I can't do it while I'm playing, so this is the one, and the keys have not changed. I'm still there we go. Okay. I'm still holding the right arrow key in order to move what you see as left. It's just upside down, so it's backwards. Alright. Yeah, and so you'll see the dots are helpful. So this one, the tilt changes based on your forward speed. So if I stop moving, it tilts back to horizontal, but as I increase my speed, it starts to tilt upward like this. Still the same level, so really you could sort of memorize the steps in a way and kind of work your way through it without even looking. But as you can see, it is pretty, the look is pretty distracting, and it's hard to not see that look. Oh boy, almost didn't make it. Excuse me. There we go. Oh. Yeah, that one's pretty intense, just because of the movement. Alright, so this one's zoomed out, and I can just barely see it. I assume that you also can just barely see it, but this one's actually kind of easy. Just have to time things. Oh, almost fell in the hole. I just barely see myself. My character's only like 3 pixels tall. I made it. This is not the most challenging. Alright, Orthographic Squish. Everything is crammed into a single screen, basically. The entire level is visually squished. So relative to the terrain, I still move at the same rate It's just visually I'm only 3 or 4 pixels wide as I move through it. And also, I guess the dots don't show up because there's not enough, you know, screen, not enough pixels resolution. That jump is always the one you gotta be careful about. There you go. The music isn't exactly right. It overlays the real music with the victory music. So this is dynamic squish. It's kind of like the tilt one. The faster I move, the more squished it is. So as you move through it, you know, changing your speed slightly every time as you move, it's you know, it seems to have an accordion effect that is pretty easy to I was about to say pretty easy to figure out visually as you go, right as I failed. Okay, so you can also, some of these levels are harder than others. You can actually hit V to skip a level, and so this is the zoomed in level. And this one is harder than it looks because you can't really see where you're going. So, again, sort of hard to see visually. The hole coming up, isn't there? Nope. There's a... Also, you can go backwards, which is unlike the original. I got lucky on that one. Alright, so let me skip a level. This one is orthographically smushed, like this way. This one is dynamically smushed. So squish versus smush, right? But it's still fairly playable. This one is slow motion. So everything is the same, but just slowed way down. It's interesting how the music becomes something different too. Right, this is level 12 slow motion, and this is level 13 very slow motion. This is as fast as I can go here. I'm not sure how long this would actually take to get to the end of this level. I have not actually done that myself, but it could be a while. But the amount of jump you get is still the same relative to your space and your apparent speed. Alright, that's all I can take of that one. Okay, this one's fast motion. And also quite challenging because you don't have time to sort of hang in the air and adjust your landing spot if you need to. You can get through it pretty quickly. Alright, so that was fast motion. This is very fast motion. This one's even harder. I got it. Oh! It's so easy to fall in the hole. You have to kind of hit all 3 keys basically as one motion. Got it. All right. Zeno. Okay, so this was a reference to Zeno's paradox, ancient Greek philosopher. It basically gets slower as you go. The farther to the right you go, the slower it is. And also, this is kind of interesting. If you go back to the left, it speeds back up. You can really hear it just in the pitch shift of the music. But yeah. Notice this one isn't leaving dots behind for some reason. And I don't know if it's possible to finish this one because it gets slower and slower and slower, so presumably at some point it gets so slow that you can't actually make forward motion. That's sort of the question of Zeno's paradox. Okay, this one you're invisible. I'm still there, but my character's still there, but I can't see him. This one, the level is invisible, and this is where it really comes in handy to have those trails from previous iterations. Those are the holes there. Made it. go. Made it to the end. All right. You see, by the way, he doesn't do the correct animation there. You can see it really clearly there. He does his death animation. This is called Don't Slow Down. If you slow down, you die. So you have to keep moving the whole time. So if I pause for a second, yeah, I got too slow right there. All right, one more, a couple more. Yeah, don't touch the ground. This one, the ground disappears. So that might not be possible. I don't know. This one is when it starts to get really weird. So this is curled up. It's visually quite hard to see, but it is actually still playable. I'm still there. Just kind of curled up. Everything is kind of spatially warped. This one's everything's a ball. So it's like you're playing the game out on the surface of a ball. This one, everything is kind of mangled up in different directions. This one is all smushed together in weird ways, but still playable. You can kind of see Mario jump up every now and then. This one is like your terrain is just sort of being rolled up like that. Yeah, it might just actually be designed to stop tracing after a while. Because you're right, Brandon. I haven't noticed the tracing for the last few. But still, this one's fairly playable and actually pretty fun because of the way it kind of rolls along. Alright, so and then this one's a Mobius Strip. And this one, you've got two Marios to control. And this is where it starts to get really tricky because they both jump at the same time. But you have to do it so that neither of them falls in a hole. Because if either one of them falls in a hole, it's game over. So doing okay so far. Oh no! Okay, fell in a hole. Let's try another one. So this is 4 at a time. Same thing. They start at different points in the level, so you've got to keep an eye on where all 4 of them are. The one on the bottom, those two. Okay, cool. They both just made it over their holes, respectively. Oh no! It's hard to watch. All right, now we've got 8 to keep track of. Yeah, it's hard. And then the last one, you've got 16 to keep track of. I don't know. I can't do it. So I think this is the last one, actually. So yeah, that's the last one in this particular version. I think they were more past this in one of the versions they released, but this is the last one in this particular one. So yeah, it's a way to play with even something as simple, deceptively simple as a platformer game. It lets you play with, this demonstrates all the different complexities that are actually are built into it, including some of the assumptions and things that we take for granted about gaming as far as like what should be easy, what should be hard. The platformer game is especially the first level of Mario Brothers is often sort of just the I don't know, the blank slate, the carte blanche, the cliche if you think of game design, but it's something that Patrick Lemieux and Stephanie Bullock were able to manipulate in all these different ways to reveal all these different complexities and get all these different kinds of rich gameplay out of this really simple, deceptively simple example. And all they had to do was change one thing at a time, change the speed, change the angle, change the visual, the graphics of it, and the result is a pretty interesting and playable experience. Let me share the link for this one in case you're interested, and then it's not. So they do have an itch.io page, but they've got a couple. They don't have this particular game on here yet, but they have. This is a game where you play Legend of Zelda with different topographies, and then this one is a game where you play through the footnotes of their book, which is pretty cool. But let's see. I have to find. It took me a second to find the link to 99 exercises if you want to play it yourself. And this is I ended up going all the way through class today, so that was it for class today. I've got lots more games I can show you, but I don't have time to, so that's okay. Let's see, can I go here? Yeah, I think this one works. So yeah, try this out if you'd like to, but if not, it's cool too. It's just it's something to try. And it's, again, deceptively simple, I think is probably the thing. Like, it looks easy, but, try it and see. Okay, great. So thanks for watching, everyone. I will see you all on Wednesday. It'll be a Zoom class, so check that out. If you're interested in more like weird game stuff, I do teach this class, Games and Culture. I'll be teaching it in the fall. It is full, but I can probably fit a couple more in if there's a really urgent need to join it. So thanks. And Henny, you have a question about the project? Yeah, I guess, but maybe we should talk about it. But let me answer that question a bit more complicatedly, if that makes sense. I know we're over time, so if you need to go, it's fine. But the thing I do want you to do, if you haven't yet, is submit the gallery form or the archive gallery form. I mean, please do also submit it in Canvas. Like I think that's what you're asking about. But this thing, please complete this form if you haven't already. Maybe you already have, but this is the thing that will let me kind of have an archival copy of it. So, okay, if you do that, that's great. But also, yeah, just submit the link to the subdomain in Canvas, and that'll be fine. Just don't forget, there's also the final reflection evaluation thing that's due next week, and that's really where you'll have a chance to reflect on it. That's really the final. But as far as sharing the completed version of the project, if it's complete, then yeah, please share it that way, and do the form if you haven't already. I pulled up the web page, but I'm just realizing that you can't actually see it. But there it is. Yeah, please do this form. And that would be great. Yeah, the final reflection thing. It's that's next week. Final reflection and evaluation. It's due whenever the final exam is scheduled for this class, which I think is Wednesday the 5th, if I remember correctly. Okay, well that's it for the stream. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm going to be doing this again in 20 minutes or so for the next section. So you can watch again if you feel like it. But that's it for today. So have a good day, everyone. I will see you all later. Let me turn on some music and check out the bird cam. Although, yeah, I've got to open the curtain again so the bird cam can actually see something besides my wall. There's been birds all over the place today, but not right now. All right. Bye, everyone. Have a good day.